Morning. Going into this, I'll admit right off the bat that I'm a bit of a loner. Wasn't always. I grew up through the 80s and 90s, and I got to see firsthand the major changes that happened in our society, largely pivoting on the events of 9/11, early 2000s. A lot of things started changing then. Because not only did you have a lot of change in the world of politics, the global situation, government, it's not the same world. But you also had a huge shift in people's mentalities. And one of the biggest things I noticed is that people began to be increasingly isolated from each other. I mean, just as an example, starting on a higher level of things. It used to be that people could disagree on political things or religious issues and still be friends. Yeah, you'd have raised voices, maybe even fisticuffs on occasion. But people still knew how to disagree with each other and yet live with each other. Can't do that anymore. Now, the very basis of your character is determined by which political party you support, which politician you like or dislike. Absolute hatred between political groups. Families destroyed, friendships destroyed, neighborhoods fractured. People can't agree to disagree anymore. Same goes for religion in a lot of cases. Speaking as a Christian, I have seen an increasing number of people who have basically declared each other enemies simply because they don't share the same doctrinal beliefs. And a lot of those doctrinal beliefs, quite frankly, are trivial. They're dumb. I might disagree with you, you might disagree with me, but I don't consider them fellowship issues. And yet, there are a lot of people who will make them fellowship issues. And then you have the divide between men and women. Feminism has become increasingly radicalized. And so women in general who've bought into this have developed a dislike, distrust, or even outright hatred of men. Men responding to this have decided they don't like women. I'm not saying in general, but the men who have responded to this feminist culture have basically responded in kind, hence the rise of things such as MGTOW, men going their own way. And I've seen women on the feminist side saying that all men are evil. And I've seen men on the MGTOW side saying all women are evil. Again, there's this chasm being created. And there's this chasm being created between men and women, which in turn affects family. The value placed on family has been greatly diminished over the decades. It used to be that family was the most important thing. Your parents, your children, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever. They were responsible for each other, for taking care of each other, for seeing to each other's well-being. Well, over the decades, parents have been handing that responsibility over to the state. Just for an example, I see this all the time. We've gotten to the point where parents are farming their kids out to daycare starting at literally months or even weeks old. And that kid goes to preschool and then kindergarten and up through elementary school and middle school and high school and then college. That child is in the hands of state workers 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that's not including whatever the parents ship the kids out for on weekends, and camps and things like that. So the child's ultimate respect ends up being placed on state-appointed, state-approved, state-licensed teachers, caregivers, what have you, up through adulthood. And that goes forward to the parents. When the parents reach old age, the kids don't take care of the parents. They farm the parents out to nursing homes. There's no family cohesion. Nobody's really taking care of each other. They're just handing it off to the government. The term family has become very loose. Heck, now you see a rise in the term found family, where somebody either finds another family or another group that they feel they fit in with better. They go with that. That's their found family. Blood means nothing anymore. Community is another one. How many people really know their neighbors anymore? Not too many. And again, I'm going into this admitting that I'm a bit of a loner, and this is due to events in my life. I wasn't always like that. I wasn't always a loner. But I've become a loner because of the change in people's personalities. I don't trust people anymore. But community has also changed. Now, hardly anybody knows their neighbors. And people are finding community online. People from all over the world can come together to form a community online. Everything online is virtual. That is not community. Because community has more than just a shared interest in a topic or whatever it is. A real community is there to take care of each other. They have common interest in each other's well-being. They're looking out for their neighbor. Community is economic, interrelational. Somebody's barn burns down, people get together and help out. That's more of a sense of community, where people actually see each other face to face and interact in real time instead of over the web. Friend has become loosely defined too, thanks to Facebook especially, when you can friend and unfriend at the click of a button. Now, friend is simply somebody that you know. My point in all this, I know I took a little while getting to the point, but I think it was important to cover all these areas in which we've been divided and relationships have become redefined and become less impactful in our lives. The point I'm getting at is that while at the same time that our sense of family, community, friendship, just overall human interaction has been changed, it's all been altered to the point where we can barely function with each other. Our reliance on the state has only increased. And again, this takes me back to 2001 and upward. We've gotten to the point now where people are more passionate about supporting their chosen politician or political party than they are about supporting their own family. They're more passionate about giving money to their church than they are to giving money to their elderly parents who are in need. They're not willing to help out people in their community who might be in need with their own dime because, well, they're government programs. This whole concept of love thy neighbor has been forgotten. Think of the mafia. Now, I'm not advocating the mafia, but here's one thing they've got down. See, the mafia, they're all about family. These crime families are all about family. Why is that? Here's why. When something happens to them, when something bad goes down, somebody's in need, nobody's going to help them. Nobody's there to help. Unless they've got some politicians paid off or some authorities paid off, they can't rely on the government. They can't rely on the state. Can't rely on church or any kind of local community. They've automatically isolated themselves as a family from overall society, and all they have is each other. And that's why their families are so strong. Yeah, cousin Lenny, he's an idiot, but, he's my cousin. What you gonna do, Even if they don't get along, family remains important. And they're strong. All these families that make family priority number one are very strong families. And when you have a strong family, you don't have the need for politicians, bureaucrats, the state and its various agencies, or anybody else on the outside to take care of you. You're there for each other. That's where we've gone wrong. Now, I think it's deliberate. The creation of reliance upon the state requires a simultaneous destruction of reliance on family. Take away the one, replace it with the other. And once you're reliant on the state, and by state I mean government, they have power over you. They can control you. Whoever's in charge, you're at their mercy. They have authority over you. We need to get back to where families are reliant upon each other. Where throughout life, from cradle to grave, instead of the state taking care of them, it's family. I think you'll end up having much stronger families, more prosperous families. Families that'll be able to stand firm no matter what the political or economic winds might do. I believe the destruction of family attachment, familial affection, family loyalty has been very deliberate. We can see it through the various policies that have been acted for at least the past 100 years. It's been a slow and gradual thing. If you want a really definite starting point, I think we could begin with FDR's New Deal. We could probably go back further than that, but I think that was where the acceleration really began. And then the rise of Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, all these programs that are, by definition, socialistic. Removing reliance upon family and replacing it with reliance upon the government. The government never gives you anything without a hook. Nothing's ever free. Ever. From the government. They aren't out for your good. They're out for control. The government is always about control. It's always about force. Family. A functioning family is about love and taking care of each other through thick and thin. And with these times being what they are, economically and politically, we're at a point where literally almost anything could happen. Either nationally or even globally. The Strait of Hormuz thing could shape up to be pretty disastrous, especially economically, if it keeps going like this. Now's the time, I think, for families to start rethinking the way they do things and make family their priority. Because without family, we're weak. If we're reliant, if we're all about government or religious denomination or whatever, we're more easily divided. Family is that glue. It's a foundational building block of civilization. Is it any wonder that those who hate Western Christian civilization have been gradually undermining that building block through either introduction of government programs to replace the care that families are supposed to give each other, or through feminism, through the creation of government and corporate drones, through public education, or even through the undermining of marriage, the definition of marriage itself with sodomite unions, things like that. We need to get back to family, because if all this comes crashing down, and it very well could, family is going to be key to survival. And we need to really rethink our definitions of community and friends, and all the rest of those things. We can't be so loose about it. Maybe that's something I'll talk about at another point. Friends. What is a friend? Anyway, that's my thought for this morning. Catch you on the flip side.